Baik, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Terengganu Biodiversity Seminar 2024. And I hope that you enjoy a refreshing break and feeling energized as we dive into our next session. This upcoming segment will feature on engaging forum where experts will discuss key insights and challenges in biodiversity conservation, and let's look forward to an inspiring exchange of ideas as we continue our journey towards a sustainable future. And this forum session moderated by Associate Professor Dr. Jarina binti Muhammad Jani from University Malaysia Terengganu, and the topic for the discussion is challenges and opportunities in biodiversity management from environmental, social, and governance ESG perspective. And our esteemed panelists include from national perspective, panel 1, technologies, Dr. Khairul Naim bin Adham, Deputy Secretary of NRES. And we have from industry perspective, Yang Berusaha Dr. Hajah Yatila binti Zainal Abidin, CEO Yayasan Saim Dabi. And from the NGO perspective, we have Mr. Julian Hyde, CEO of Reef Check Malaysia. And please give a big round of applause to all panels on the stage. And let me first introduce you who is our moderator. Okay, so Professor Dr. Jarina Muhammad Jani is very dedicated to use her expertise in human ecology in making sustainable development a reality. With excellent communication skills to reach to all levels of people and organizations, she can work independently or in a team, as you can see. The personality, genuinely interested in people and the environment, she is also culturally sensitive thanks to her experience living in multicultural societies and from her extensive travels abroad. So, her academic qualifications, okay, a PhD holder from University of Edinburgh, UK, previously Master in Environment Management from University Kebangsaan Malaysia, and she used to have a from University, I don't know how to pronounce this, Université de Tours, France. I don't know I pronounce this correctly or not, but with the very qualified education background, so she is Dr. Prof. Jarina Muhammad Jani, and since joining the academia in October 2005, her work has concentrated on the human dimensions of biodiversity conservation and natural resource management to support sensitive marine and terrestrial ecosystem management and sustainable development through research and projects activities. And she has a wide experience and ongoing research interest in ecosystem management and sustainable livelihoods in protected areas, focusing on human ecology, biodiversity conservation, and societal benefits. And she is also a member of the advisory committee for the Memorandum of Understanding on the Conservation and Management of Marine Turtles and their Habitats of the Indian Ocean and Southeast Asia since 2018, and was recently made a steering committee member of the UN Ocean Decade Coordination Office on Connecting People and the Ocean. So please give a big round of applause to Professor Dr. Jarina Muhammad Jani, and I should leave this floor to you, Prof. Please proceed.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih kepada pengerusi ataupun kita punya MC hari ini. Selamat datang kepada semua kawan-kawan yang masih bertahan sampai ke petang. Terutamanya saya ingin memberikan kata aluan kepada rakan-rakan dari City Wetlands. Saya nampak tadi ramai. Itu macam saya punya kampung lah, kampung saya tu. Dan juga kepada kawan-kawan lain, semua agensi yang terlibat. Terima kasih kerana masih berada bersama kami. saya minta sedikit macam mana nak cakap, benarkan saya meneruskan forum ini dalam bahasa Inggeris kerana kita ada Mr. Julian, walaupun Julian sebenarnya boleh faham saja, tapi tak apalah, kita kasih chance. Lagipun sebab kita tahu community di City Wetlands pun sebenarnya dah biasa je dengan bercakap dengan bahasa Inggeris ni, jadi bukanlah benda yang jangkal. So kita akan teruskan dalam bahasa Inggeris. So I would like to begin by introducing our speakers today. We are very lucky to be having people from 3 different perspectives. I will begin, first of all, with Dr. Khairul. Dr. Khairul Naim is, Dr. Khairul Naim Adham is the Deputy Undersecretary of Biodiversity and Forestry Management Division at the Ministry of Natural Resources and the Environment, of Environmental Sustainability, NRES. He is also the national focal point for the Convention on Biological Diversity, CBD, and the Intergovernmental Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services, IPBES. He served as lead negotiator for the 15th Conference of Parties to the CBD, COP15 in Canada, and the 16th Conference of the Parties to the CBD later in COP16 in Colombia. Very fresh. Very fresh. So he also took on position of National Project Director for the GF, funded Global Wildlife Program Malaysia, building institutional and local capacities to reduce wildlife crime and enhance protection of iconic wildlife since 2023. He has more than 2 decades of experience as an administrative and diplomatic officer of housing, having served various ministries, including the Ministry of Housing and Local Government and the Ministry of Home Affairs. He holds a PhD in Environmental and Development from University Kebangsaan Malaysia, alumni saya, and is recognized as a professional technologist in the field of green technology. Thank you very much for being with us, Dr. Khairul Naim. Next, I am pleased to rekindle and also introduce you to Dr. Hajah Yatela Zainal Abidin, who is the CEO, Chief Executive Officer of Yayasan Samdabi, or the Samdabi Foundation, a position which she has held for more than 14 years. YSD, as it is known, is the philanthropic arm of Samdabi Guthrie Berhad, Samdabi Berhad, and Samdabi Property Berhad. YSD focuses on 5 pillars of education, community and health, environment, sports, arts and culture. The strategies of these 5 pillars are aligned to all the 17 SDG goals of the United Nations, so that the impact would be towards achieving a balance in social, economic, and environmental dimensions of sustainability. Under its 5 pillars, YSD has also been doing long-term work with its partners to contribute to the world's targets of achieving the life-changing zeros in poverty, hunger, AIDS, and discriminations against women and girls, so that no one is left behind. I think she will be telling us more about the wonderful work they're doing there. But as an academic background, Dr. Yatela holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Accounting and Finance from the University of Wales, Aberystwyth in the UK. She completed her Association of ACCA, Association of Chartered Certified Accountants professional degree at Emil Wolf College of Accountancy, London, and then went on to attain her ACCA fellowship. Due to her interest in education for the underprivileged, Dr. Yatela had completed her doctoral degree in Universiti Utara Malaysia with a thesis entitled Using Life Stories to Understand the Development of Resilience in the Underprivileged. Thank you for being with us as well. Finally, last but not least, I'm happy to introduce Mr. Julian Hyde, CEO of Reef Check. Julian is British, but has been living overseas since 1992, a long time. He is a scientist by training with a degree in biochemistry. He worked for several years as a management consultant, including 6 years in Russia, managing a variety of environmental consulting programs. He moved to Malaysia in 1998. Initially managing an environmental consulting company in Kuala Lumpur before moving to Tioman Island to pursue his dream of running his own dive center, which he did for 6 years. It was during that time that he became interested in Reef Check. In 2006, he moved back to Kuala Lumpur to pursue other business opportunities. But having raised some funds, he worked with a team to establish Reef Check Malaysia as a registered NGO in Malaysia. Since then, he has worked to raise funds for the organization and to develop its programs, which now include a national annual coral reef survey program, education programs for schools, community-based projects, and reef rehabilitation program. Thanks for being here, Julian. So now that you know basically who they are, I will just basically explain what this forum is about. So during the presentation by the short video that we saw by Professor Dan Fries, he showed a slide that showed that if we were to continue with business as usual, climate change will really hit us in a bad way. So we have to change the way we do business. Business meaning not just making money, but also how we actually govern our policies and whatnot. So, but this is not something new. Since 1970s, we have heard, it has already been worldly accepted that we have to change the way we were doing things. And that was in 1970s, basically when I was born. But now, I am no longer a child, we are still talking about that. But what is great is, of late, we see that people are recognizing that to get to sustainable development, which we basically agreed together in 1992, we have to work together. So today, what we have are different people representing different entities who are actually going to make that happen, this collaborative effort for conservation of biodiversity. So I would like to allow my panelists to share, first of all, who they are, basically, and their own organization, and how do they actually fit into this role.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jarina. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good afternoon, distinguished delegates, esteemed panelists, ladies and gentlemen. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. As highlighted by our moderator, biodiversity conservation is a shared responsibility. And collaborative effort is key for us to conserve our biodiversity in order for us to address the triple planetary crisis, climate change, biodiversity loss, and also, what is another one? Pollution. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm working with the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment. We are the ministry that was given the mandate to formulate policies, strategies to conserve biodiversity, involving various stakeholders beyond government. It will no longer government-centric because we need more and more stakeholders to be with the government to support the biodiversity conservation efforts. I just coming back from Colombia last night, attending the Conference of Parties under the Convention on Biological Diversity. The Convention on Biological Diversity has three key objectives: to conserve biodiversity, to promote its sustainable use, and last but not least, to share its benefit in equal and fairly manner. In order for us to conserve biodiversity, we need a whole of nation and whole of society approach. The recent Global Biodiversity Framework, way back in 2022, was adopted by 196 parties of the CBD. Unfortunately, the recent COP16 has not so successfully in adopting the resource mobilization and financial mechanism. Biodiversity conservation is not cheap. That is why we need more partners in the process of us to conserve biodiversity. I think that is all from me. But before that, I would like to highlight to you target 14 in the Kunming Montreal Global Biodiversity, which has translated into our national policy. in target 2 to actually to harness the strength of our private sector in supporting biodiversity conservation. In order for private sector to be with the government, they need to strengthen their ESG, the environmental, social governance. They have to embed ESG principle because ESG is beyond philanthropy. ESG is beyond CSR. Private sector and also other partners is actually part of the plan. They are no longer participants. They are actually partners in the conservation activities. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Naim. ESG beyond philanthropy. That's very interesting. How would you respond to that, Dr. Yatala?
I'm aware from the philanthropy arm of 3 corporates here. Okay, just to introduce to those who do not know who we are, we're Yayasan Saim Darbi or the Saim Darbi Foundation, and we are the philanthropic arm of 3 corporates. Their logos are up there. Saim Darbi Berhad, SD Guthrie Berhad, previously known as Saim Darbi Plantation, and they just changed their name earlier this year, and as well as Saim Darbi Property. Yes, Dr. Naim, it is a must for it to be more than philanthropy. But Yayasan Saim Darbi was founded in 1982. We're 40 plus years old. So for these companies, they have been doing philanthropy through us for more than 40 years. And they themselves believe in ESG. So we came first before ESG was even coined. So they were already doing ESG in their operations, and this is over and above what they are doing. But one thing is good about ESG is that others will realize the importance, of course, in the operations, but also to do philanthropy over and above what they are doing in their operations. This should come after the ESG, as what Dr. Naim mentioned just now. Okay, the next slide. Just to give, because we've been here for so long, and we started doing our 5 pillars just now of what you mentioned just now, Dr. Jarina, environment, education, community and health, sports and arts and culture. So environment, we started in 2009, 2009, but most of our work started in 2010, where we planted more than 2.7 million trees already, and out of them, 179, almost 180,000 ERT tree species. We try not to just plant trees. It has to be trees endemic to the area. Certain specific projects are endangered, rare and threatened tree species, and we try to have at least 80% survival rates. A lot of organizations just plant trees and they leave. It's not like that with us. We have KPIs set with our partners. And what me mentioned is that, like here, right, we have government and we have an NGO. We cannot do it on our own. We have to work all together. We also work with universities. We also work with communities. And only with that can we achieve what we have been achieving. Capacity building. We capacity build government officials. We also capacity build NGOs. We also capacity build researchers with our funding, of course. But we are very happy to be doing this because the impact is sustainable. It's not only for today, but knowledge is important and skills are important for the future, to do things here today for the future. And you see my team, they've collated 1,700 awareness programs for all kinds of public schools, universities, etc., etc. And 3.2 million individuals reached. I'm not sure how they did in calculation, but that's what they do. Our focus is, of course, under the environment pillar is conserving biodiversity, providing environmental education and awareness, and ensuring food security. Why we put food security under here is we rescue food from being thrown into the landfills where greenhouse gas emissions. And that contributes to climate change. So for us, food security connects with climate change. So that's why it's under environment pillar. All towards sustainability, adapting to climate change, which we are talking about today. So what we do, we've been doing across the board, terrestrial. In Terengganu, we've been working with the Terengganu State Park Council, that's the government, state agency. And then we're working with the NGO, Nature-Based Solution. And we're working with, of course, there are connections with other NGOs and the universities, UMT, Gaia. Everyone's in it to do the work here in Terengganu, in terrestrial. Coastal and marine as well, we do with like GC in Perak, and marine, we reef check, with Marine Research Foundation, with Maraset. And of course, education and awareness is so important for us. It's not only the work on the ground, but the awareness and the education is so important, as Dr. Naim mentioned just now. It's everybody's duty, right? So if you do not understand the importance of conserving biodiversity, how can you help and play your part, right? And food security. Thank you.
Yes, we have to understand in order to be helpful, because this is what, otherwise in Terengganu we say cecamerba. That means you are running like a headless chicken. So I guess one of the people I know for a long time who's been running around, not like a headless chicken, but I guess a bit like somebody who's rallying them into the barn, is Julian. So Julian, what's your take? So how do you play your role in this?
Sometimes feels like a headless chicken. So Reef Check Malaysia is the recipient of Dr. Naim's organizational and policy movements and Dr. Yatela's ESG initiatives that provide the finance. What do we do with it? We have 4 main programs. We conduct an annual coral reef survey program around Malaysia, so we know what's happening with the reefs. We work with local communities on the island to improve the management of coral reefs. We do some science programs on restoration and coral bleaching. And we do advocacy and awareness and education programs. So those are the 4 main programs. But why? I want to come back to something that's just been touched upon. Why do we do this? So we work with mangroves and seagrasses and coral reefs. Next slide, please. Perfect timing. These 3 ecosystems are all connected. They provide fish into fisheries. They protect coastlines from erosion and from storm damage. Big deal. Who cares? Well, there is something like 130 to 150,000 small-scale fishers on the east coast of Malaysia who rely on these ecosystems for their livelihoods. That's quite a lot of people. The fisheries that they fish help to feed Malaysia's obsession with food, with fish, because Malaysia is the biggest per capita consumer of seafood in Southeast Asia. You consume 57 kilograms of fish a year. That fish comes from seagrasses, mangroves, and coral reefs. So we need to look after them. And finally, just on the East Coast Islands themselves, Perhentian in Redang in Terengganu, these islands support a tourism industry which involves about 10,000 local jobs and which is worth roughly R1 billion a year. So if you want to move away from the we love these ecosystems, we must protect them, and say why, well, it's because they have economic and ecological value. So as I said, we are the beneficiary of the government's policies and regulations and the increasing involvement of corporations in ESG type spending.
So in short, you get the work done with their help.
Yes.
Yes. So it's very interesting that Julian mentioned about fish. Fish is very important for Terengganu. Like you said, how many kilos a year, Malaysia? 57 kilo per person. I think that's an average. In Terengganu, probably double that. Because in Terengganu, as we all know, even the curry puff is filled with fish. So we are really fishy people. And as nobody goes home from Terengganu without kepok leko. That's a lot of fish as well. So it's very important for us. So it is It is an important resource, and that's why thank you for highlighting the importance of the coastal ecosystems, the coral reefs, the seagrass, the mangrove, but also let's not forget the coastal wetlands, which are not marine, for example, where we work a lot in the Gelam forest, Melaleuca forest, because they filter as well what goes out to the sea. So these are all very important for people of Terengganu who love fish. But surely doing this, it sounds good, everybody's working together, but I'm sure there's been challenges. Would you like to share with us what have been the most, briefly, what have been the biggest challenges that you had to face in trying to do this good thing?
Thank you, Dr. Jarina. There are many kind of challenges in our journey for biodiversity conservation. The most or the key challenges is that the level of awareness on biodiversity amongst Malaysians in particular is relatively low. Based on our baseline study in 2019, the finding shows that our level of understanding about the importance of biodiversity is only about 9%. It shows that we are not so aware on the importance of biodiversity to our life, and also the ecosystem services. Yeah? You mentioned about the importance of fishes, and fishes will also relate to our mangrove in order for them to hatch or as their nursery. Secondly, when we talk about key challenges, is actually related to the means of implementation. Yeah? A means of implementation can be in various forms, in monetary form, non-monetary form, in terms of capacity building, technology transfer, and good understanding of biodiversity itself could be considered as means of implementation as well. Yeah? Good understanding and good support from the private sector, for instance. That is why when Kunming Global Biodiversity Framework comes with 23 targets, the overarching goal is to live in harmony with nature by 2050 or 2030. Living in harmony with nature by 20. It should be earlier, but we put it as 2050 with 23 immediate targets that need to be achieved by 2030. One of the key targets is actually to promote or to encourage businesses to go for environmental disclosure or ESG disclosure. That is why in my first remark just now, I highlighted about the important role of private sector beyond philanthropy, beyond CSR, because now they are actually no longer participants. They are partners in our journey in biodiversity conservation. How can we encourage them to go beyond philanthropy? ESG is one of the tools. How could ESG promote beyond philanthropy? Because we always relate ESG with operational efficiency. Yeah? When businesses and the private sector is moving towards ESG, they will actually look into their resource utilization. Yeah? Resource utilization and the sustainable practices will also encourage them to actually provide long-term savings and as well as long-term benefits, especially in sustainable operations. So, in short, to answer your question, Dr. Jarina, first we need to enhance the public awareness on the importance of biodiversity, and we need to fill the gap of our means of implementation in terms of financial, for instance, in terms of technology transfer and also in terms of capacity building. In this regard, as mentioned by Dr. Yatila, the private sector has played a good role, Doctor. Yeah. In actually build the capacity of researchers, build the capacity of policymakers like me, build the capacity of NGO, etc. Thank you.
Would you like to continue?
Okay, Dr. Naim mentioned about beyond ESG is beyond philanthropy, yeah? And the challenges of doing that is it has to come from the corporates, and ESG actually kind of forces it, right? But I think like for our 3 donors, ESG has been their kind of DNA. That's why they set up philanthropy after that, because it's very expensive to run a yayasan as a foundation. And first things first, they would have to put in place all their operations. Like for example, SD Guthrie is a founding member of the RSPO. From the very beginning, they were there. You know, zero everything, zero fires, zero hunting, zero everything in their estates. So that's from the very beginning, from before anyone knew about ESG already. Just giving you an example of that. But now with ESG, everybody understands everyone's responsibility towards ESG, and they can look towards, like for example, our 3 donors, the 3 companies, and look at them as examples, really good examples, because they have started very early. They are very up there with their targets of sustainability, various kinds of targets that they have. And on top of that, they give millions of ringgit a year to a foundation to do philanthropy. So they are good examples, and we do hope that other corporates look at them. Of course, SMEs, very small, not enough monies, have to start smaller. But you have to start somewhere. You have to start, as Dr. Naim mentioned, in your own operations first. Start and do it well at home before you go out and do things for others, lah. Right? So that's the formula of it. So I'd just like to share with our 3 donor companies' donations to us all these years. We've been very, very blessed to be able to do these few things. We've broken up to 3 forests, which is the flora. We're actually planting forest trees in our estates. In SD Guthrie, we have done so in Jenta, Pahang. We have done so in Sungai Siput, Kemuning in Perak. We are currently doing in Sarawak in a big way. Actually, we've done full Semenanjung as well. With them, we are creating forest linkages. It's like stepping stones, because these estates are nearby forest reserves. And when we plant these forest trees within the estates, they will create stepping stones for small mammals as well as birds to pass through. We've also created an arboretum of endangered, rare and threatened 3 species. We collected them and we planted in an arboretum in Pahang, in one of our estates. So it's 3 large areas on top of hills, where endangered, rare, threatened 3 species planted, and it is actually free for anyone to take those seedlings from these arboretums. Especially Frimla has been using, I think Perhutanan as well has been also taking. We open it up to researchers, etc. Nobody can take for profit lah. We give only for CSR. Seed preservation, we're doing with TRCRC, Tropical Rainforest Research Center, something. Looking at to preserve endangered and threatened 3 species seeds, preserve them, have seed banks while planting them as well. Coastal rehabilitation with mangrove, with the GEC across the country. Habitat restoration, one good example is in Sabah, where we rehabilitated 5,400 hectares of orangutan habitat in northern Ulu Segama. Now it's called Bukit Piton Forest Reserve. That area was it's full of orangutans actually, but they cannot move, right? Because of the Segama River, they cannot swim over. So what we did was, it was logged over like 4 times, fires, etc. It was, when I went to see it like more than 10 years ago, it's just shrubs. But now it's trees and orangutan nests in those trees. So very heartwarming. I like to give that example, very, very heartwarming. So it's very successful, but you have to do it over a period of more than 10 years. So that one we worked with Sabah Forestry, Sabah Wildlife, and SD Guthrie. Because SD Guthrie put in, so they're not only our donors, they also put in technical knowledge into this large tree planting initiative and how to handle vendors and suppliers to maintain silviculture and all those things. So our donors are a good example. They don't only give monies, do stuff in the operations, but they also be involved in the projects that we do. Forest Friends, these are all the different types of fauna that we have been supporting all these years with all kinds of ways, what do you call it, via communication, via patrolling, as well as communications. We highlight specific animals in our documentaries that we produce, etc., with partners. Food for Thought, I was mentioning just now, the Lost Food Project. I'm sorry I didn't put in greenhouse gas emissions that we have saved going out. But just imagine if we can save 3.4 million kgs of food, perfectly good food from the pasar borong, perfectly good sayur, vegetables and fruits we thrown into the landfills. Just imagine how much carbon we have saved going into the mission is fighting climate change. Next. One thing that next slide please. One thing that I cannot emphasize enough is our collaboration with not only all here, but with the communities. Only when we work with the communities and we work with the communities effectively and successfully can we have the success that we can. For example, in Terengganu, we have to have a collaboration with the communities around Kenyir, so that they will be our eyes and ears on poachers, for example, right? They will help us and to save that area, because if they don't be part of the conservation, they will not own it. They will not think it's theirs. In order for it to be sustainable, it has to be theirs. Like for example, this lady here, Puan Puji, she's the head of the residents in Kuala Gula, Perak. And this is the project that we have with the Global Environment Center. We had a phase 1 and now we're in phase 2. Phase 1 with 2 communities. We planted 24,400 trees. The most important thing is the community network forums that we have. So this Puan Puji, we've trained her and her like a community association, about 20 of them, on how to plant, take care, manage, as well as identify products from the mangrove so that they can make a good income from the mangrove. That's why it's called not only conservation, but also livelihood program for them. So you can see we have mangroves, that's the cordial from the fruit as well as the leaves from the mangrove. So now in phase 2, Puan Puji, she is training other communities across the country on how to do this and effectively and successfully. So right now, we have in 6 areas, 2 in Perak, 2 in Johor, 1 in Kedah, and 1 in, I can't remember already, but 6 lah. And in Selangor, Sabah Bernam, sorry. And with this program, we do not only tree planting, training communities so that they will take ownership and they will take care of it when we go, We also have awareness programs at schools, but actually it's not 6, it's like, I think banyak dah sekolah sekarang ni. And products, more than 2 products already. So this is very, very important, but the challenge is, another challenge is how to you get the trust of the community, because at the end of the day, they will be the ones, the custodians, who will take care of the area when we are gone. We will not be there forever. Our funding is not going to be there forever. The people they have to focus on other areas as well. Resources are limited. The communities are the custodians, and it's important for them to take care.
True, and I just want to let you know that in Setiu, for example, we have kole beruh. Kole beruh is actually a very delicious dessert that is made from Bruguera cylindrica, which is berus. And well, if you ever come to the right season, you can, and we encourage our community members to always highlight this as well. So these are the things that also unconventional approach in mangrove conservation has to be
because
embedded.
if we can actually allow them to live off the mangrove sustainably,
Exactly.
they will take care of the mangrove.
Exactly. Because we believe that environment is actually our source of livelihood. We should not be separate from it. It has to be a living environment. Yeah. Challenges, Julian?
No challenges. Right. Let me come back to the funding. Just a couple of other things first. One of the big problems we face is lack of governance or unclear governance. Which bit of government is responsible for a particular issue? For example, on the islands, state governments own the land. It's part of the constitution. The Department of Fisheries manages the water around the island as a marine park. Okay, they don't talk to each other very well. And then you've got the Ministry of Tourism, which is trying to encourage more tourism to the islands, and yet there's already enough tourists on the islands. And then you've got Plan Malaysia, who are responsible for planning the built environment. So they want to do more infrastructure on the islands. And then you've got Dr. Naim's ministry. They're trying to promote biodiversity. So on Pulau Tierman, there are these 5 key stakeholders who maybe could communicate a bit better. I'm trying to be really subtle there. But that's one of the challenges is mixed up governance. And I think there's also some gaps in legislation. So who's responsible? Reefs are in marine parks, so that's the Fisheries Act. Seagrass meadows, no particular protection. So anything that's outside of an MPA is not protected. Mangroves is divided by state and federal. So again, complexities. So when Dr. Yatella talks about these great programs they're doing with mangroves, yes, they're great programs on the ground, but some of there are challenges in even getting projects that far, getting permissions, getting buy-in, getting approvals can be very difficult. And yes, then there's money. Obviously, that's always going to be a challenge. I think we are seeing genuine moves by companies to invest in more than just more equipment and more productive facilities so they can make more cars or more phones or other stuff that we need. Yas and Sign Derby is a good example of a company that is actually putting money into community investments and investments in ecology. But obviously it still remains a problem. How are we going to get more money out of the system?
Yes, there's still some challenges in getting people to invest in our own future, basically, because without biodiversity, without a healthy environment, there's no future for us, at least definitely not for our children. So, but of course, like we said, these are things that we have been facing, the challenges, be it whether getting people to understand that biodiversity is very important. You don't have to tell us at the university, our program is biodiversity conservation and management, and every year we see less and less students registering because parents don't think it's a professional. It's ironic because we need more people now in ESG, and if they don't understand, how can they help? So perhaps that will be a very good takeaway message for us. But, and then we need communities and people, everybody to take ownership. Like you said, it has to be about, this is our thing, this is ours. So even if our funders go away, we stay. So we have to see that as well. And of course, governance. How do we make this happen, and how do we make the different agencies in charge of different things collaborate under the same umbrella, sitting with community, stakeholders. So these are all the challenges. But I'm sure because you've all been doing this for a long time, it's not like you just did it yesterday. So I'm sure there's also good sides of it. So let's hear now, we have challenges. What are the opportunities that we have now? Today, as we sit here, and discuss ESG. What opportunities are there?
Thank you, Dr. Jarina. Mr. Julian highlighted about the so-called the need for us to improve further on our governance. Yeah, because as we know, our supreme law, federal constitution, provides separation of power between the states and also the federal. The land-related matters, mineral, biodiversity, forestry appeared under state list, whereas wildlife, national parks appeared under concurrent list. In order for us to make the platform much more effective, the government has decided to reactivate the National Biodiversity Council with many more stakeholders. There is an additional of 9 ministries in National Biodiversity Council, chaired by the Deputy Prime Minister. Reason being is actually to really mainstream biodiversity across sector and across government up to the district level. But by having such good platform, we hope that we can have a better policy and better strategies in biodiversity conservation. That is number one in terms of governance. In terms of resource mobilization, we are actually promoting the whole of society approach. The blended finance. The government is actually walking the talk by providing certain amount of allocation. What has been highlighted by Puan Nosham this morning, the government has actually allocated more than 550 million ringgit for the past 5 years for ecological fiscal transfer for biodiversity conservation. But we need to actually look at the EFT from sustainability perspective of how we can really utilize the money to get impact. And then next year, there will be another 250 million. Then we need better planning. We also need to really have better instrument, a better mechanism of actually implementing EFT on the ground. The government has also allocated about 60 over million per year for community rangers. This is actually a part of actually ingrain the sense of ownership on biodiversity conservation. We appoint community rangers, give them certain allowances, and they can not only protect the biodiversity, but they can also enhance their livelihood. What else? And we also promote the so-called living landscape approach. Yeah? A living landscape approach, the coexistence between human and also wildlife. Because now actually we are encroaching their area, not the other way around. So we should bear in mind, we should respect, and with the coexistence, I think we can not so co-resolve, but at least we can reduce the human-wildlife conflict.
Okay, opportunities. Because ESG is now it is the thing. So I think more and more corporates, from the corporate perspective, will need to understand in order to comply to the requirements of ESG in the country, and do their part in their business operations towards sustainability, biodiversity conservation. And if you see, like today, there are more yayasans. Previously, when we started in 2009, 2010, I think we were the only ones doing environment conservation. But today we have Yayasan Petronas, we have Alam, we have Yayasan Hasanah, we have quite a few, of course, doing all work with us together. And I think more and more corporates are also giving towards, and they understand it's not just about planting the trees, it's ensuring you are planting the right type of trees, where they are planted, who's supposed to be taking care of them, the survival rates. It's all about KPIs as well. So I think the understanding is even more today. But the problem is addressing the issue of funding. Yes, and Saim Dabi also is facing funding challenges. But with that funding challenges comes also opportunities, because then we are looking at ways on how can we stretch our ringgit. And now with the AI technologies and everything, we can actually do much more with the equipment that we are buying for our projects, for example. Just now at Nature-Based Solutions, were showing me an equipment for sound catching, bioacoustic in the forest, in the deep forest, right? It's like a 360-degree camera, but without the visual, I was saying lah. You can collect so much data with and then you can process it using AI in process of development. But there's so many opportunities with that kind of data, because there's so much data deficiencies, you know. So much information that we don't have in order for us to know how do we conserve our biodiversity better, and maybe with lower amount of money, because to address the funding issues that we have. So we have more partners in funding, but we are also having limitations still because of the situation of the world now. But we have all this technology. We have real-time cameras to help our patrollers. For example, in Royal Belum, real-time cameras, you see some poachers, straight away it will be notified, you know, to the patrollers, and that's awesome for us. In our elephant project with MIM, with Nottingham University, they have this bioacoustic equipment where they hear elephants, it straight away sends a notification to the people to say, oh, there's elephants nearby, you have to be careful, or you have to take precautions, etc. So how do we live together with elephants? So there are these types of challenges, of course, but the opportunities come along with the challenges, I feel. Ultimately, that's it.
Yeah, there's several threads coming together here. Let me try and start off with one. You can use technology or you can work with people, and getting people on the ground empowered to take responsibility for themselves is incredibly important. So in Semporana area, Sabah Parks, thank you Dr. McLaren, have recently recognized some of the local people that we've trained up to be community rangers, all right? So now they need a boat. Okay, where does the money come from? But at least they're engaged, all right? Second thing is, one of the things that was bandied about at COP in the last couple of weeks was that global GDP is something like 100 trillion US dollars. It's a ridiculously big figure, but it's 100 trillion US dollars, okay? At least 50% of that output relies on nature services, right? Whether it's you're making cereals, whether it's oil and gas extraction, whether it's timber, 50% minimum. Some people say 100%, but at least 50% of that relies on nature systems. And that is what's driving companies to look at the way they do business and say, you know, what's the business as usual model is the profits go privatized and the costs get socialized, which means that, for example, a corporation that makes fizzy brown drinks, who will not be named, makes the money out of making the drink, but when their drink bottle ends up in the environment, that's not their problem. They just make lots of profits for themselves. That is changing as corporations realize they simply cannot carry on like that. So they're becoming more sensible, they're becoming more objective about waste, about management, about conservation and so on. So that's the second thread. And then the third thing comes along, and these corporations then start to look at how do we put money back into the environment, how do we put money back into conservation. And that's where the man on Salakan Island gets the money for his boat. It's all tied together.
Nice and sweet. Thank you, Julian. So basically, we have we started off hearing challenges, and it was, I think some people felt, oh, it's not gonna, so hard, is it worth doing and whatnot. But luckily we heard the opportunities as well, and if I count actually based on my count, I think there's more opportunities than challenges. And I'm an incorrigible optimist anyway. So I always believe that we have to continue, because what else do we have otherwise? And so I'll just summarize the opportunities that we heard. First of all, we have good people. I mean, yes, we have different people in handling different things, but they're now sitting together, especially with the Malaysian Biodiversity Council. We hope that will actually push things on, at least we're on the same platform. And then, of course, we are very grateful. I think even this seminar that we are having today is thanks to the EFT, if I'm not mistaken. And we are very happy to hear that there's more money coming, 250 million next year. So Taman Negeri will have to sit down and plan properly how they're going to spend their money next year. And then, of course, we have to consider that we live with the environment, and it's not them encroaching. For example, wildlife, we are encroaching. It has to be a living landscape. And from the corporate side, we heard that, which is great, because now Yayasan is no longer lonely. Last time they were the only one doing it. Now there's more people, and I hope that means also that you have provided leadership. And because you've been doing it for a long time, you can now do better. Because then not just about planting trees, but planting what trees that actually work. And that's great, because then there's technology that supports you. And technology is something that people eat every day. They love it. So I think that's a very positive thing as well. And it's nice to hear from Julian that there's more awareness among corporate, not knowing, just being what people say, blood-sucking, profit-making people. They also know that, finally the cradle-to-grave concept is being understood, that you are responsible for everything from the step one until the end. So that brown soda company hopefully will contribute more. So I guess I think everyone has enjoyed this session. Thank you very much. We are unfortunately short of time, because otherwise...
Can I just add one more thing?
Sure.
On what Dr. Naim mentioned about 9% only of Malaysians are aware. Can I ask the next to show the QR codes for? We have produced with partners Laya Lia, which is a series of videos on our biodiversity of our animal species, flora, fauna, our environment heroes, as well as areas of biodiversity. Please tell everybody, because not enough Malaysians know about. Kalau tak kenal, maka tak cinta. So we need to get more and more people understanding it. And CFS is Wild Roots, the other one on the right. Please go to scan it, and it's in YouTube, it's all for free. Look it up. Terengganu is in there as well. And we hope that everyone, students to politicians, we all have to come together to save our biodiversity together. Thank you.
And I'm just going to have the last word. And the reason is this. I don't know how many heard this earlier on during one of the videos, that scientists, there's a recent report, is predicting warming of the world to 3.1 degrees, right? That is a scary, scary number. We're already at 1.5, and we've been trying to keep it at 1.5 for many, many years. 3.1, are you serious? That is going to kill off the coral reefs around the coast of Malaysia. Dead, gone. No more fish, all right? So you guys need to get serious about understanding this stuff. There's two opportunities there. That's what I wanted to say. It's about you now. It's not about me. It's not about her. It's not about him. People need to get more engaged in understanding what biodiversity is, how it literally keeps us alive, and how we can get engaged in protecting it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That, I guess, is a very good summary. Kita kena kerjasama, kena kacik molek, kata orang Terengganu. Barulah kita boleh berjaya. We can only achieve this if we work together. In Terengganu, it's called kacik molek. That means it's really ngam. So I think that's a takeaway message. Let's together kacik molek untuk kita for the beautiful biodiversity of Terengganu. As we heard just now we can hear the sound. I think in the speech by our Yang Teramat Mulia, he said that he wished that what Clifford heard 100 years ago can still be heard 100 years to come. Thank you very much to all our panelists. Thank you for listening to us.
All right, thank you very much to all panelists on the stage. I suppose we have Q&A sessions. Okay, no. All right, so thank you once again to all panelists and also the moderator, Prof. Jarina. So please remember to scan the QR code shows on the slide just now. And the point of view here and the lesson learned is all about all of us here to taking care of our biodiversity. Okay, next, moving to second forum will be moderated by Yang Berusaha Professor Madya Technologist Dr. Nazifah binti Yaakob, Ketua Bahagian Perkhidmatan Akademik Universiti Sultan Zainal Abidin, and the focus of the discussion is about biodiversity conservation and protected areas. And please welcome our panelists to the stage. The first panel is Yang Berusaha Dr. McLaren Lakim, Director of Sabah Parks. The second panel is Yang Berusaha Dr. Nik Musaadah binti Mustafa, Senior Researcher Officer from FRIM. And the third one is Yang Berbahagia Datuk Muhammad Shahriza bin Hussein, CEO Enggang Management Services, Sdn Bhd. And first and foremost, let me introduce you our moderator for second session, which is Associate Professor, Technologist Dr. Nazifah. She is an environmentalist and working as Senior Lecturer at Faculty of Bioresources and Food Industry from UNIZA. She obtained first degree in environmental science and pursued her PhD in environment toxicology from University Kebangsaan Malaysia. She started her working career as academic fellowship at University Darul Iman in 2008, and subsequently she was appointed as a junior fellowship in University of California, Davis, USA in 2011. And over the decades, she has been involved in various NGO works, especially in areas of conservation and environmental protection and sustainability. She has attended international seminars and conferences all over the world and a member of Sahabat Alam Malaysia and Integrated Water Research Management. Currently, she appointed as Head of Academic Division in UNIZA Besut campus. So now let's give them a big round of applause and we can proceed to the second forum.
Terima kasih Pengerusi Majlis Puan Diana. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam Malaysia Madani kepada semua hadirin yang saya hormati. Selamat datang ke seminar Biodiversity Terengganu 2024. Saya Nazifah Yaakob sebagai moderator akan mengendalikan sesi forum ini yang bertajuk Perkongsian Konservasi Biodiversiti dan Perlindungan di Malaysia. Sebelum kita memulakan sesi forum ini, izinkan saya memperkenalkan panel-panel hebat kita yang akan berkongsi pengetahuan serta kepakaran mereka dalam bidang biodiversity. Panel pertama kita iaitu Dr. McLaren bin Lakim, pengarah Taman-Taman Sabah sejak tahun 2020. Beliau memulakan kerjaya pada tahun 1991 sebagai pembantu penyelidik di kawasan pemeliharaan Lembah Danum, Sabah. Beliau menyertai Sabah Parks pada bulan Jun 1992 sebagai pengurus taman yang berpusat di Taman Pulau Penyu, Sandakan. Seterusnya, beliau dilantik sebagai pegawai penyelidik di Taman Kinabalu pada tahun 1994. Sebagai seorang penyelidik, beliau meneruskan pengajian di peringkat ijazah sarjana dalam pengurusan biodiversity dari Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia dan menerima ijazah Doktor Falsafah dalam ekologi primat dari Universiti Malaysia Sabah pada tahun 2008. Seterusnya, panel kedua kita ialah Dr. Nik Musaadah Mustafa. Beliau adalah pegawai penyelidik kanan dan juga Ketua Makmal Bioaktiviti di bahagian hasilan semula jadi Institut Penyelidikan Perhutanan Malaysia FRIM. Beliau mempunyai kelulusan sarjana muda sains dalam farmakologi dari Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia, diploma lepasan ijazah dalam sains perpustakaan dari Universiti Teknologi UiTM Mara dan PhD dalam bidang bioperubatan dari King's College London. Dr. Nick telah berkhidmat di FRIM sejak tahun 1996 dan terlibat dalam penyelidikan bioaktiviti tumbuhan ubatan, terutamanya dalam kajian kesan anti-inflamasi dan anti-diabetes serta pembangunan produk berasaskan tumbuhan ubatan. Penyelidikan terkini beliau memberi tumpuan kepada pendokumentasian dan aplikasi pengetahuan tradisi berkaitan tumbuhan ubatan orang asli dan Melayu di Semenanjung Malaysia. Seterusnya, panel ketiga tidak asing lagi adalah Yang Berbahagia Datuk Muhammad Shahreza Hussein, merupakan CEO Enggang Management Service Sendang Berhad. Beliau kini menguruskan pengurusan pelindungan dan pelaksanaan Rizab Harimau Diraja Sultan Abdullah Taman Negara Pahang yang merupakan rizab pertama harimau Malaya di Malaysia. Datuk merupakan bekas pengarah Perbadanan Taman Negeri Perak dan beliau diberi mandat untuk mengetuai dan menguruskan Taman Negeri Royal Belum, Pulau Sembilan State Park dan Kinta Valley National Geopark. Datuk Shahreza juga telah dianugerahkan sebagai 2020 Global Winner of the Dr. Remington Award for Tiger Conservation by the WWF Tiger Alive Program Committee based in United Kingdom. Selamat datang, saya ucapkan kepada semua panel jemputan kita pada hari ini. Hari ini kita berkongsi dengan ahli panel yang hebat dalam perkongsian konservasi biodiversiti dan pelindungan di Malaysia, di mana pelbagai aspek berkaitan biodiversiti termasuklah cabaran, peluang dan peranan dan pemeliharaan biodiversiti. Okey, saya teruskan kepada panel pertama kita, iaitu Dr. McLaren bin Lakim selaku pengarah Taman-Taman Sabah. Sebagai seorang yang berpengalaman luas dalam bidang konservasi, bolehkah doktor ceritakan tentang cabaran utama yang dihadapi dalam usaha pemeliharaan biodiversiti di Sabah dan menguruskan taman di negeri Sabah? Dipersilakan doktor.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera tuan-tuan dan puan-puan yang dihormati sekalian. Saya ucapkan terlebih dahulu sabas kepada Taman Negeri Terengganu atas kejayaan menganjurkan seminar kita pada pagi ini. Dan bagi pihak Kerajaan Negeri Sabah, saya selaku wakil Taman-Taman Sabah mengucapkan berbanyak terima kasih di atas ruang yang diberikan kepada Sabah untuk mengkongsikan sedikit sebanyak pengalaman. So, berhubung dengan fungsi ataupun peranan Taman-Taman Sabah ataupun nama lengkapnya ialah Lembaga Pemegang Amanah Taman-Taman Sabah, kami telah ditubuhkan sejak 60 tahun dahulu. Sebuah agensi yang telah agak tua, dia seumpama telah mencapai tahun persaraan, iaitu 60 tahun berkecimpung di dalam pemeliharaan kepelbagaian bio. Taman-Taman Sabah ialah sebuah agensi badan berkanun, maksudnya kami ada satu enactment, yaitu dipanggil enactment Taman-Taman Sabah 1984, yang juga telah agak lama dan seringkali ditambah baik ataupun dipindah dari masa ke semasa mengikut kesesuaian keadaan situasi semasa pemeliharaan. Pada masa ini Taman-Taman Sabah memiliki 9 buah taman, 3 taman daratan yang dimulakan oleh Taman Kinabalu, yaitu Gunung Kinabalu, dan ada 6 taman marine di Sabah yang telah dimulakan oleh Taman Tunku Abdul Rahman di daerah Kota Kinabalu, yaitu kami andaikan sebagai taman marine yang pertama di Malaysia sebab dia telah diwartakan pada 1974, 50 tahun dahulu. So, pada keseluruhannya kami fungsi ataupun peranan Taman-Taman Sabah ialah memelihara Gunung Kinabalu itu sendiri. Saya tidak pasti berapa ramaikah dalam kalangan kita yang ada dalam dewan nih yang telah mendaki Gunung Kinabalu. Mulai angkat tangan kah? Agak tidak ramai. Salah satu cabaran bagi saya untuk memahamkan apa yang saya ingin perkatakan, sebab peranan Taman-Taman Sabah sebenarnya difokuskan kepada pemeliharaan gunung itu, dan dia telah dijadikan sebagai model pengurusan taman-taman, termasuk taman yang ke-9 di seluruh Sabah. Dan dia agak berkesan sebab kami seringkali diminta untuk mencipta sesuatu plan pengurusan ataupun Pelan Strategik Pengurusan Taman-taman yang telah dimulakan pada 1992. Jadi teman-teman Sabah mengambil pendirian komited untuk melaksanakan pelan strategik ini, dan dari sinilah bermulanya prinsip-prinsip ataupun kaedah-kaedah pendekatan-pendekatan untuk mentadbir urus taman-taman yang diwartakan di bawah enactment Taman 1984. So dia ialah sebuah proses yang panjang, banyak cabarannya, mungkin serba sedikit Prof saya kongsikan. Di awalnya ialah seperti yang Dr. Khairul sebut tadi, awareness. Teman-teman Sabah seringkali dituduh sebagai satu agensi yang merampas tanah hak orang kampung. Contoh. Bila kami wartakan taman, maka orang kampung tidak suka teman-teman Sabah, sebab bagi mereka kami telah mengambil hak keperluan mereka untuk bercocok tanam ataupun berburu di satu-satu tempat. Sebab kami ialah seumpama guru disiplin yang mendisiplinkan pelajar-pelajar, mendisiplinkan rakyat supaya mematuhi peraturan-peraturan yang telah disusun dan termaktub di bawah enactment yang kami kuatkuasakan. So itulah awalnya. Dan bayangkan kami telah 60 tahun, saya hanya menyertai teman-teman Sabah di tahun ke-28. Saya seumpama menyertai teman-teman Sabah semasa waktu rehat perlawanan bola sepak, sebelum waktu rehat itu. Dan saya tahu yang selepas masa kedua itu saya tahu dengan mendalam. Yang separuh masa pertama itu saya agak tidak begitu mengetahuinya. Saya masih belajar di UKM seperti yang Prof sebutkan tadi. Tapi saya dapat kongsikan di sini bahwa di awal penubuhan teman-teman Sabah memang kesadaran itu rendah, dan kami seringkali menghadapi konflik kepentingan dengan rakyat di sekeliling di mana taman itu diwartakan. Saya rasa itu untuk buat awal nih, Prof. Kembali kepada Prof.
Okey, terima kasih Doktor. Saya teruskan pada panel kedua, itu Dr. Nick. Bolehkah Doktor berkongsi tentang pengetahuan tradisi, akses dan perkongsian faedah dan konservasi di FRIM? Silakan Doktor.
Okay, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. Pertama sekali mungkin next slide. Okay, saya mengambil peluang di sini untuk berkongsi berkaitan dengan pengetahuan tradisi, aktiviti pendokumentasian. So mungkin soalannya apakah pengetahuan tradisi itu sendiri ya. Pengetahuan tradisi adalah segala amalan kemahiran dalam satu-satu komuniti yang diperturunkan secara lisan daripada satu generasi ke generasi. So tumpuan FRIM adalah kepada pengetahuan tradisi yang berkaitan dengan tumbuhan ubatan yang digunakan oleh orang asli dan juga masyarakat Melayu. So bila pengetahuan tradisi ini ada dua faktor ya. Satu, ia adalah khazanah kita. Ini adalah warisan kita. Ini adalah menunjukkan bukti bahawa masyarakat dahulu adalah bijak dan sebab berdasar pada pengamatan mereka, pemerhatian mereka, mereka boleh survive untuk kehidupan, dan juga terutamanya bila FRIM kita tengok berkaitan dengan perubatan yang digunakan oleh mereka. So bila kita bercakap berkaitan dengan perubatan tradisional, ia sebenarnya adalah mempunyai nilai ekonomi. So bila kita berkata ianya mempunyai nilai ekonomi, bila sesuatu produk yang dihasilkan daripada maklumat pengetahuan tradisi nenek moyang kita dikomersialkan, kita ada hak. Itulah access and benefit sharing ya. Dan pemilik-pemilik terutama orang asli, mereka ada hak untuk mendapat sebahagian daripada hasil jika pengetahuan mereka ini dikomersialkan. So dalam masa kita melihat untuk berusaha untuk mendapat bercerita berkaitan dengan access benefit sharing, ilmu ini akan pupus jika kita tidak pelihara. Itulah antara aktiviti FRIM yang kami laksana, iaitu mendokumentasikan sebelum pada ilmu ini dilupakan ataupun hilang. Sebab pemilik-pemilik ilmu ini adalah daripada masyarakat nenek moyang kita dan berdasar pada umur. So dia berisiko ya, hilangnya pemilik ilmu itu sendiri dan juga pemilik bahan itu sendiri. Dua faktor yang mungkin menjadi ancaman kepada kepupusan pengetahuan tradisi ini. So itulah antara usaha yang kita perlu giatkan, iaitu pelihara dan pulihara pengetahuan tradisi, terutamanya melalui aktiviti dokumentasi. Dan bila kita bercerita berkaitan dengan komersial, so seharusnya lah aktiviti penyelidikan perlu digiatkan. Okay, next. Okey, saya rasa pagi tadi Puan Nosyam telah mengurai dan juga Dr. Naim ada membentangkan pemeliharaan pengetahuan tradisi berkaitan dengan sumber biologi. So di samping biodiversity itu sendiri, pengetahuan itu sendiri memang satu benda yang penting dan memang termaktub dalam CBD. Ini antara komitmen Malaysia di mana kita perlu pelihara pengetahuan tradisi itu sendiri. Dalam masa yang sama, kita perlu berkongsi jika ilmu-ilmu ini dikomersialkan dalam bentuk produk ataupun sebagainya. Dan ia juga termaktub dalam dasar kepelbagaian biologi dan juga Kunming. Dan kalau kita tengok kepada garis panduan penyelidikan herba, pengetahuan tradisi adalah satu sumber maklumat yang perlu ada sebelum kita menjalankan research berkaitan dengan herba. Okey, seterusnya. So saya di sini kami sukalah berkongsi apa aktiviti yang telah kita laksanakan di Terengganu, di mana di frame kita ada dua projek lah, satu pengetahuan tradisi orang asli, satu lagi pengetahuan tradisi Melayu yang melibatkan pengamal-pengamal perubatan tradisional Melayu. So di frame untuk pengetahuan tradisi orang asli kami telah laksanakan di Sungai Berua. Saya dimaklumkan ada wakil-wakil daripada orang asli daripada Sungai Berua. Boleh angkat tangan? Ada kan? Ada, okey. So aktiviti ini kita bukan terus masuk nak dokumen. Ini memang memerlukan masa yang panjang, di mana pertama sekali kita akan engage berni dengan JAKUA untuk mencadangkan komuniti mana yang sesuai, dan daripada situ kita mendapat keizinan. PIC sangat penting, mendapat keizinan daripada batin dan juga komuniti, wakil-wakil komuniti. Daripada situ kami laksanakan, bila batin dah setuju untuk kami masuk melaksanakan dokumentasi, kita akan buat awareness program di mana kita panggil anak-anak muda dan juga orang-orang tua. Orang-orang tua inilah pemilik ilmu itu sendiri, dan dalam masa yang sama kita menjemput juga generasi muda kerana kita nak memberi kesedaran bahawa ilmu yang nenek ataupun mak orang tua mereka pegang, jika mereka tak ada minat untuk mempelajari, mengetahuinya, ilmu ini akan pupus, dan sedangkan ilmu ini mempunyai nilai ekonomi. So kami mengadakan bengkel kesedaran. Dalam masa yang sama kita dokumenkan berkaitan dengan penggunaan ubat-ubatan yang mereka gunakan dalam komuniti dan membuat koleksi bersama-sama, dan mereka sendiri yang menyediakan herbarium specimen dengan bantuan pegawai-pegawai di frame. Dan di herbarium specimen ini memang kita maklum catat siapa pemilik, siapa yang terlibat dengan projek. Ini adalah untuk sebahagian daripada benefit sharing yang kami laksanakan. So bila kita dah bawa balik ke frame, kita dah identify species, kita akan balik ke komuniti balik untuk bercerita, untuk maklumkan berkaitan dengan penemuan-penemuan hasil daripada kutipan sampel yang telah dilaksanakan. Dan juga sebab kami mengambil juga sebahagian daripada tumbuhan untuk menjalankan bioprospecting, dan kita cuba spesies-spesies yang mempunyai potensi, kita laksanakan juga survey di mana kita tengok keberadaan tumbuhan itu sendiri sama ada banyak ataupun tidak. So daripada sini ini adalah langkah untuk seterusnya daripada segi konservasi. So itu pengetahuan tradisi orang asli, memang kita engage community. So next. Satu lagi projek adalah pengetahuan tradisi orang Melayu, terutama fokus kita pada pengamal perubatan tradisional. Sekali lagi, pemilik-pemilik ilmu ini berumur bila kami buat survey, kebanyakan umur mereka 60 tahun ke atas. So memang kita mengejar masa sebab projek frame kita bermula pada 2013 dan sekarang kita masih mengajar mencari lagi pengamal so masa 2013 kita dah kumpul. So selepas 10 tahun pergi jumpa balik, memang ramai pengamal tu dah tak ada. Kalau ada pun uzur dah tak boleh turun, dan kalau kita bercakap pun ada yang dah tak berapa nak dengar dah ni. So itulah rasanya memang kita memang perlu sesiapa yang ada nenek ke orang-orang tua yang masih berilmu, memang kita galakkan. Kalau dalam family yang mendokumentasikan ilmu ini, sebenarnya dokumentasi menjadi lebih lengkap berbanding kita orang luar pergi jumpa dengan pengamal-pengamal. Bukan satu benda yang senang. So repo perlu ada beberapa lawatan perlu dibuat untuk mereka berkongsi. So daripada situlah kita akan rekodkan penggunaan tumbuh ubatan. So di Terengganu kita telah kenal pasti dan menemu bual ini 2013 seramai 336 orang pengamal perubatan tradisional, dan kita telah membuat survey yang lebih mendalam, dan seterusnya 6 orang daripada mereka kita laksanakan kutipan sampel bersama-sama. Okey. So di samping pengetahuan tradisi orang secara lisan, kita juga melihat pada kitab-kitab lama manuskrip yang ditulis dalam bahasa Jawi, dalam tulisan Jawi yang memang perlu untuk kita pelajari. So salah satu adalah daripada manuskrip yang terdapat di Museum Terengganu. So itu antara benda yang perlu
Okey, terima kasih Doktor. Seterusnya yang berbahagia Datuk, apakah cabaran yang dihadapi oleh Datuk sepanjang mengendalikan pengurusan taman negeri ataupun protected area? Boleh Datuk kongsikan pada kita semua?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum dan selamat petang. Pertama sekali mengucapkan terima kasihlah kepada majlis kepada Majlis Biodiversiti Terengganu, bukan Majlis Biodiversiti, Taman Negeri Terengganu dan juga Kerajaan Negeri Terengganu menjemput kami. Seperti mana yang kita dengar daripada panelis yang terdahulu, kita punya peneraju lah untuk protected area yang telah menunjukkan satu pencapaian tinggi dan juga mentorship bagi diri saya dan banyak-banyak taman negeri lain adalah Sabah lah. Okay. Saya punya personal mentor Tengku Adlin was one of the key people that established the Sabah, and we keep learning from them. Dan kita juga nampak daripada doktor sebelah saya ni kan, yang biodiversity kita ni amat penting sebab banyak ilmu, tradisi, knowledge is based in our biodiversity. Yang orang-orang lama, orang-orang asal kita, orang-orang asli kita telah mengguna untuk kepentingan kita. Dan kita akan lose, kita akan hilang semua ni jika kita tidak jaga. Apa kaitan semua ni kepada protected area? Apakah protected area? Apa tu kawasan pelindungan? Apa beza kawasan pelindungan dengan kawasan hutan lain? Kita kena faham So bukannya kawasan hutan lain tak ada agensi jaga, tak ada orang, tak ada authority, tetapi tumpuan mereka adalah kepada benda-benda lain. Seperti mana yang telah dipaparkan oleh pengarah, bukan pengarah perhutanan, daripada Perhutanan Terengganu tadi, di semenanjung Malaysia ni kurang daripada 12% adalah kawasan protected area atau kawasan pelindungan. Ada hutan-hutan pelindungan. Hutan pelindungan tak sama dengan kawasan pelindungan Hutan pelindungan ni seperti hutan-hutan tadahan air, hutan-hutan reserve sungai. Yang tu pun kawasan reserve tapi tidak diurus sebagai fokus pelindungan biodiversity. Kawasan protected area beza kerana dia ada management authority. Dia ada pengurusan authority yang menjaga kawasan tu secara fokus dan secara sistematik. Dan management ada management plan, ada management ni. Jadi kawasan-kawasan ni penting. Oleh sebab itu, kita kena push untuk menginovasi supaya lebih kawasan masuk menjadi protected area. Kita faham tak semua 5 juta lebih hektar hutan kita ni boleh jadi kawasan protected area. Tetapi kita telah membuat kajian seperti di frame bersama-sama dengan kementerian for vulnerable ecosystem areas. Kita dah ada study tu yang dikenalikan oleh frame bersama dengan kementerian. Jadi kita dah pastikan di mana kawasan-kawasan yang ekosistemnya amat penting, high value, dan kawasan-kawasan ini kita patut pelihara, bagi keutamaan atas kawasan-kawasan yang low conservation area lah. Okay. So dari pengalaman saya yang lebih 30 tahun ni, business as usual takkan berjaya. Seperti mana kita dengar apa ni, semua COP lah, semua meeting ni, semua conference, semua seminar seperti ni. Benda ni dah berulang-ulang kali, tapi problem tak settle. Kan? So, to settle the problem is to be on the ground, to be a practitioner, menjadi pengamal konservasi. Okay? Teori penting. Dan kita ada academician, kita ada universiti, kita ada institusi, kita ada pakar yang boleh buat the big framework, theoretical framework. Tapi kita perlu lebih orang di atas tanah, on the ground, untuk menjalankan dan mengamal konservasi. Bermula pada diri kita, family kita, kawasan penduduk kita, area of influence lah, yang mana kita ada influence. Tetapi untuk overall, protected area ini adalah penting. Dan pengalaman saya, I would say the last 8 years lah, 6-7 tahun, masa keadaan dah amat tenat, kita tengok inovasi-inovasi baru di dalam menjaga protected area. Tapi sebenarnya Taman Sabah dah mula lama dah. For example, sekarang ni untuk menjaga spesies, untuk membuat protection, membuat enforcement, kita telah menggunakan orang asli, our community ranger. Tapi community ranger di Kinabalu dah lama kan, 40 tahun dah kot community ranger. So kita dah adopt community ranger. Kita ambil orang-orang asli, orang-orang kampung setempat untuk menjadi guardian kepada hutan perlindungan kita. Tu saya nampak dekat Terengganu State Park, ada community rangers itu kan, dengan orang asli semua ada kat situ. So dia orang dah diabsorb. Dulu kita tak pernah buat benda ni. Ya, dulu banyak agensi kerajaan dia bergerak secara silo. Tadi Datuk Kadir dah kata, no more silo. Kita kena bekerja dengan community, kita kena bekerja dengan academician, kita kena bekerja dengan NGO, kita kena bekerja dengan semua. Sebab tak ada satu agensi, tak ada satu organisasi yang boleh selesaikan the protection of biodiversity on its own. Dan sekarang kita tengok kementerian dah membuka the last 4-5 years EFT, ecological transfer, finance transfer untuk negeri supaya dapat menjaga khazanah biodiversity dia. Buat masa sekarang, saya nak bagi satu example yang baru lah ya. Saya sekarang bertanggungjawab bersama-sama dengan rakan-rakan saya di sana, Cik Bakhtia, semua, untuk memulakan dan mengoperasikan Al-Sultan Abdullah Royal Tiger Reserve. Ya, reserve harimau yang pertama di Malaysia, bersebelahan dengan Taman Negara. Kita dah tengok kawasan itu, kawasan rayau harimau yang penting. Ia perlu diberi fokus untuk penjagaan, dan kita make sure ataupun kerajaan negeri Pahang lah, telah memberi komitmen untuk membuat kawasan itu menjadi kawasan pelindungan, membesarkan kawasan pelindungan taman negara melebihi 30%. Dari 400 lebih hektar kawasan pelindungan telah menjadi lebih dari 500, setengah juta hektar kawasan pelindungan untuk rayawan harimau Melaya ya. Dan seperti mana saya katakan tadi, mengadakan kawasan itu sebagai kawasan protected area, then the management plan will come in, the enforcement plan will come in, the pengurusan kawasan reserve akan pergi ke global standard, sebab ada pengfokusan untuk menjalankan tugas di dalam tu. Apa yang beza, apa yang inovatif untuk reserve harimau ni adalah, ia adalah kawasan protected area yang pertama di PPP kan, private public partnership. State telah masuk satu operational agreement dengan syarikat enggang untuk mengoperasi dan menjalankan, mencari dana dan mengcapacity build Taman Negeri Pahang selama 30 tahun. Jadi state faham dia ada kekangan dari segi kewangan, dia ada kekangan dari segi resource, sumber, dan dia masuk into a partnership dengan syarikat yang boleh membawa sumber kewangan, memberi sumber, menaik tarafkan sumber state untuk state. Okay, so this is an innovation. Ini adalah satu inovasi, dan untuk masa hadapan dan better protection of protected areas, inovasi-inovasi seperti ini termasuk inovasi kewangan untuk sustainability of protected areas perlu diadakan.
Okay, terima kasih Datuk. Seterusnya bagi pusingan kedua ni, kita lebih kepada mengetahui cara langkah-langkah untuk mengatasi cabaran-cabaran yang dihadapi tadi, dan bagaimanakah kita ambil peluang dan action. Okay, silakan panel pertama, Dr. McLaren.
Terima kasih Prof. Saya sebutkan di awal tadi, satu cabarannya ialah awareness, yaitu kesedaran. Tapi yang lebih penting daripada awareness seperti Datuk Shah sebutkan tadi ialah tidak cukup uang, sebab pemeliharaan ini ialah tidak murah seperti Dr. Khairul sebutkan tadi. Dia sesuatu yang sungguh mahal. Tapi perspektif teman-teman Sabah dalam menyelesaikan konflik kepahaman antara protected area ataupun kawasan-kawasan terlindung, yaitu taman negara termasuk taman negeri Sabah, ialah data. Kami ingin mengetahui apakah yang terdapat di dalam hutan yang dilindungi, atau apakah yang terdapat di dalam lautan di taman marine yang dilindungi. Kita perlu mengurus sesuatu tapak itu dengan data. So, seperti yang Dr. Nick bentangkan tadi, yaitu data mengenai elemen-elemen kepelbagaian bio yang ada di dalam taman. So, pada tahun 1992, dalam perkongsian pengalaman taman-taman Sabah, kami telah menubuhkan satu bahagian penyelidikan dan pendidikan. So, di bawah bagian ini kami kembangkan unit-unit seperti interpretasi dan pendidikan alam semula jadi. Satu unit yang berkempen kepada masyarakat kampung, apakah kepentingan kita memelihara taman. Manakala kami tubuhkan unit-unit penyelidikan yang lain, yaitu seperti unit botani untuk tumbuh-tumbuhan, yang seringkali dibuat oleh PRIM, dan kami belajar dari PRIM juga banyak kali. Kemudian kami tubuhkan unit zoologi, penyelidikan haiwan-haiwan seperti Datuk Kadir bentangkan pagi tadi. Berapa banyak burung, berapa banyak ular, haiwan-haiwan reptilia dan seumpamanya yang terkandung di dalam taman. Kami jalankan juga penyelidikan entomologi mengenai kepelbagaian serangga yang ada di dalam taman. Dan demikian juga haiwan-haiwan marine di terumbu karang di taman-taman marine yang luas di Sabah, sebab kami ada 3 jenis lautan, yaitu Laut Cina Selatan, Laut Sulu, dan Laut Sulawesi mengelilingi pantai Sabah yang luas itu. Dan dia merupakan sesuatu kekuatan bagi kepelbagaian bio Sabah, tapi juga merupakan satu cabaran bagaimana kita mengurusnya dan terutamanya mengetahui apa yang terkandung di dalamnya. Dan di akhir-akhir ini pun kami menubuhkan unit geologi dan demikian juga unit sosiologi mengenai kelakuan manusia di sekeliling taman dan bagaimana kami mengendalikannya. Dan di penghujungnya setelah agak lama, lebih 30 tahun berkecimpung mengumpul data-data ini, dia memberikan kebaikan dari segi sistem pengurusan yang diamalkan oleh taman-taman Sabah, sebab kami mudah menyediakan plan pengurusan untuk setiap tapak-tapak yang dilindungi di negeri Sabah, yang ada 9 taman itu. Mengapa? Sebab kami mengumpul data. Dia menjadi hari demi hari, day to day management punya aktiviti, sebab kami memiliki jentera pengumpul data itu yang bertugas hari demi hari, 365 hari setahun. Oleh yang demikian, koleksi itu berkembang dan menjadi satu hobi, menjadi satu kebanggaan bagi setiap staf yang ditugaskan di unit masing-masing. Dan dengan demikian dia menjadi satu tarikan untuk kerjasama penyelidikan dengan universiti-universiti tempatan dan luar negara, termasuk UMT untuk di negeri Terengganu yang seringkali bersama-sama kami menyelidik, dan hasil penyelidikan itu akan dikongsikan dan kami akan jadikan sebagai sebagian komposisi data yang kami kumpulkan. Dan kami memiliki sejarah kerjasama yang lama juga dengan penyelidikan institusi luar negara seperti Field Museum of Natural History di Amerika Serikat, Chicago, penyelidikan reptilia dan amfibia. Demikian juga German Society for Tropical Ecology daripada Jerman, penyelidikan serangga yang panjang dia punya sejarah. Dan demikian juga dengan penyelidikan dari penyelidik daripada Jepun seperti University Kyoto, University Hokkaido, dan demikian juga Louisiana State University daripada Amerika Serikat yang kami seringkali berkecimpung dalam penyelidikan burung. Dan demikian juga University Montana daripada Amerika Serikat. Dan ini semuanya ialah akibat kepelbagaian bio yang menarik perhatian ramai penyelidik, dan kami telah merumputnya itu untuk mengembangkan data-data yang tersimpan di dalam taman, dan kami gunakan dia sebagai alat untuk mengurusnya. Dan kemudian kami sebenarnya jual data-data ini dalam bentuk membuka tapak-tapak rekreasi masuk ke dalam taman, yang kami benarkan kepada awam dan pelancong masuk ke dalam taman bersyarat mereka hendaklah membeli tiket yang kami jual. Dan kami dapat mengumpul duit daripada tiket jualan itu, dan kami gunakan semula tiket itu untuk mengurus aset-aset yang disebutkan tadi. So demikianlah, dan pemeliharaan ini bukan murah. Saya setuju dengan Dr. Khairul, dia bukan murah. Dia ialah sesuatu yang sangat mahal. Ada kalanya kita membalak satu kawasan dan kita dapat sejumlah uang yang kecil, tapi untuk restore, untuk menanamnya semula ialah jauh lebih mahal daripada apa yang kita kutip semasa kita memusnahkannya. So itulah yang tersirat di sebalik itu. Dan di hujung-hujung dengan kampanye-kampanye yang berpanjangan dilakukan oleh taman, kami menjadi sandaran community rakyat di sekeliling taman tuh tidak suka taman, mereka menyukai taman. Dan ambil langkah terakhir kami ialah pada tahun lepas kami berhasil diiktiraf sebagai tapak geopark UNESCO Kinabalu. Dan tapak ini ialah sebuah konsep pemeliharaan modern. Dia bukan tradisional, dia bukan tradisi. Dia ada 3 tonggak geopark ini sebagaimana yang terdapat di Pulau Langkawi. Sebab pada hari ini Langkawi telah 14 tahun menjadi geopark UNESCO Malaysia yang pertama. Dia ada 3 tonggak. Yang pertama dia kata kita pelihara sumber-sumber batu dan kepelbagaian bio di dalam tapak itu. Yang keduanya kita majukan infrastruktur untuk pengembangan industri, terutamanya sektor ekopelancongan. Dan yang ketiganya kita kembangkan peluang-peluang sosioekonomi dalam kalangan masyarakat di sekeliling taman. Dia ialah sebuah pemeliharaan yang ofensif. Ofensif maksudnya dia keluar daripada sempadan taman itu untuk bersama-sama dengan community mencipta sesuatu produk-produk ekonomi. Dan akhirnya teman-teman Sabah tidak perlu menjaga sempadan sebab community yang menjaga kami. Kami menjadi petugas-petugas yang duduk di dalam sempadan. Manakala sempadan itu telah dikendalikan sendiri oleh masyarakat. Dan itulah saya rasa kejayaan pemeliharaan pada masa-masa akan datang akan menggunakan konsep yang sedemikian itu, yang mana komuniti di luar taman itu mendapat faedah dan keuntungan yang setara dengan apa yang kami kutip pada tahun-tahun terdahulu dengan menjual tiket-tiket masuk ke dalam taman. Sekian, Prof.
Okay, terima kasih, Doktor. Satu perkongsian yang baik dan bermanfaat pada kita. Seterusnya saya ingin buka pada panel kedua, Dr. Nick.
Seperti yang kita maklum tadi, ancaman utama bila bercerita berkaitan dengan pengetahuan tradisi yang berkaitan dengan sumber biologi adalah kepupusan disebabkan pemilik itu sendiri yang berisiko untuk bila pemilik tak ada, so that means ilmu akan hilang. So seperti Dr. McLaren tadi kata, bila conservation, pendidikan sangat penting. So apa yang telah kami laksanakan adalah kita berkongsi peringkat sekolah rendah lagi, di mana kita berkongsi poster-poster yang berkaitan dengan penggunaan tumbuhan ubatan yang telah kita rekodkan kepada sekolah, supaya pada peringkat sekolah lagi mereka sedar bahawa masyarakat mereka ini kaya dengan ilmu dan pokok-pokok ini adalah bermanfaat untuk kesihatan. Sebab kalau mereka tak kenal pokok itu sendiri, macam mana mereka nak melindungi dan mengguna. So yang kedua adalah daripada segi bila pengetahuan tradisi ataupun perubatan tradisional, kita perlu revive, ya? Sebab risiko sekarang perubatan moden sangat senang, ya? Kalau kita demam, Panadol ada. So lama-lama perubatan tradisional ini akan hilang. Itu antara inisiatif sebenarnya peringkat Kementerian Kesihatan sedang cuba untuk memperkasakan perubatan tradisional, terutama termasuklah perubatan daripada masyarakat orang asli, sebab sekarang perubatan tradisional Melayu memang dah termasuk dalam akta perubatan tradisional, akta perubatan tradisional dan komplementari. Walau bagaimanapun perubatan orang asli belum, sebab di bawah perubatan Melayu. So inilah antara usaha kerajaan, iaitu bawah kementerian, untuk kita turun balik, kita tengok apa perubatan yang mereka guna. So maklumat berkaitan dengan tumbuhan ubatan yang mereka guna ini adalah sangat penting. Dan ketiga adalah penyelidikan lah, sebab requirement in terms of perubatan ubat, sama ada ubat tradisional, ubat moden, klaim yang ada klaim, dia ada requirement tertentu. So untuk membolehkan perubatan tradisional ini dipasarkan, mesti memenuhi piawai yang telah ditetapkan. So R&D adalah satu perkara yang pentinglah. Itu antara banyak agensi termasuk FRI memang kita cuba laksanakan. Kita memberi perubatan membuat kajian perubatan tradisional, terutama tumbuhan ubatan, dengan dokongan saintifik, supaya bila produk dihasilkan, ia adalah satu produk yang berdaya saing. Itu saja.
Okay, terima kasih, Doktor. Pendidikan dan penyelidikan adalah sangat penting dalam pemeliharaan biodiversiti kita. Seterusnya pada panel ketiga, mungkin boleh share sikit tips ataupun cara-cara lah nak mengatasi masalah ataupun cabaran.
Okey, pada saya, cabaran yang paling utama adalah untuk kita menilai biodiversity kita. How do we value our biodiversity? Sebenarnya kita tak berbuah nilai tinggi. Sebab tu kita tak invest, kita tak melabur di dalam penjagaan biodiversity. Sebenarnya biodiversity ini amat penting untuk masa sekarang dan masa hadapan, termasuk food security, ya Dr. Yatila. Sebab apa? Banyak sangat ilmu yang berada di dalam biodiversity kita ni, terutama in tropical rainforest lah, ya, yang belum dimaksimiskan. Kita discuss pasal keperluan kewangan untuk menjaga kawasan pelindungan, tapi kita tak labur tengok into the benefit of our tropical rainforest, daripada pokok-pokok kita, hutan kita. Pada kita hutan adalah hutan. Sebenarnya hutan adalah aset. Sumber biodiversity kita sama ada terrestrial di tanah ataupun marine atau aquatic di bawah air, semuanya bernilai tinggi. Tapi kita tak faham dalam penilaian. Sebab apa di peringkat global dan di peringkat nasional kita bercerita tentang ABS, Access to Benefit Sharing. Kenapa orang-orang di negara maju amat push ABS, Access to Benefit Sharing? Kenapa kita accept? Sebab di dalam biodiversity itu mempunyai satu value yang tinggi. 70 ke 80% dari sumber perubatan kita adalah daripada tumbuh-tumbuhan. Berapa banyak lagi tumbuh-tumbuhan, berapa banyak lagi food for the future, makanan-makanan untuk masa hadapan ada di dalam hutan kita yang kita tidak kaji dan kita tidak terokai. Kita tak maximiskan kita punya value of our tumbuh-tumbuhan. Kita tak invest into the R&D seperti mana yang Dok cerita tadi. You need the data. It takes a long time for you to go through all the standards and the testing. Kita perlu invest in this because dia punya return, dia punya pulangan. Kalau kita dapat satu pharmaceutical breakthrough from one of our tropical rainforest, bukan sahaja komuniti setempat daripada ilmu orang asli dapat manfaat, tetapi negara dan masyarakat will get continued benefit from the research. So cabaran saya lah macam mana nak bagi orang fikir yang sebenarnya biodiversity ini bernilai tinggi. Hutan adalah aset. Hutan tu bukannya bukannya satu perkara yang satu pokok. Kalau dia aset, dia ada aset jangka pendek. Maknanya you potong, you jual habis. Tapi dia ada aset jangka panjang. Kita tak payah pergi jauh lah. Tiap-tiap pagi kita bangun basuh muka, gosok gigi pun kita rasa air tu dari mana sebenarnya? Kita ingat daripada tangki rumah kita. Kita ingat daripada pipe yang datang ke rumah kita. Tapi tidak. Ia bukannya daripada reservoir ataupun empangan sekalipun. Sebab empangan tu dipenuhi air yang datang dari mana? Dari hutan. Ya, tak ada hutan, jangan gosok gigi lah bagi-bagi. So, cabarannya macam mana kita nak faham nilai dan macam mana kita nak maximize kita punya nilai dan macam mana kita fikir apakah pelaburan yang kita perlu buat, apakah penjagaan yang kita perlu buat, apakah pelindungan yang kita perlu buat supaya aset yang kita ada dalam biodiversity ini dapat dimanfaatkan at the end of the time. Okay. Dan last sekali saya nak sebut, protected area seperti mana yang dibuat di Sabah must benefit the community. The best way to protect the protected area is community benefiting from the protected area. Kalau community dapat manfaat daripada protected area, kita tak payah tunggu, tak payah buat banyak kerja, dia orang sendiri akan jaga sebab sumber rezeki ada di situ. Terima kasih.
Okay, terima kasih. Hutan adalah aset. Itu perkara yang paling penting untuk kita ingat sekali. Okey, untuk dah sampai ke akhir, saya minta last sharing. Mungkin take home message about 1 minute from the panels. Boleh mulakan daripada Datuk dulu. Boleh ke?
Okey, 1 minit. Lepas ni tak payah fikir banyak, balik fikir apa saya boleh buat di dalam sfera saya, dalam saya punya sphere, dalam saya punya influence. Kalau tak banyak pun anak-anak ke ataupun ada satu ilmu kecil pun boleh share dengan sesiapa. So saya practitioner, saya pengamal. Jadi pada saya is go back and think what you can do. Not just think and keep the knowledge to yourself. Thank you.
Okay, thank you Datuk. Okay. Next, Doktor.
Saya sambung daripada Datuk. Datuk tanya apa yang perlu dibuat. So saya cadangkan jika seseorang yang tahu nenek moyang dia ada ilmu, tolong dokumentkan sebelum ilmu itu hilang. Itu je.
Okey, dokumentkan sebelum hilang. Okey, last daripada Dr. McLaren.
Terima kasih Prof. Taman-taman Sabah sedang berada di penghujung plan strategik Taman-taman Sabah 2025 iaitu pada tahun hadapan. Dan kami ingin mencapai visi bahawa rakyat Sabah hidup harmoni dengan alam semula jadi, dan ini saya rasa boleh dipindahkan ke Terengganu. Rakyat Terengganu hidup harmoni dengan alam semula jadi di negeri Terengganu. Maksudnya bahawa semua pemegang-pemegang taruh berkepentingan sama ada agensi-agensi kerajaan maupun NGO maupun komuniti terutamanya maupun pihak filantropis, pemberi-pemberi dana, kita bergabung sehati sejiwa untuk memelihara kepelbagaian bio Malaysia yang begitu unggul di dunia, antara yang terkaya di dunia. Terima kasih Prof.
Okey, terima kasih Doktor. Sebagai rumusan sesi forum pada petang ni, pemeliharaan biodiversiti sangat penting dan kita sebagai pengamal konservasi perlulah diteruskan sampai bila-bila dan we have to be on the ground. Jangan hanya bercakap mengenai teori semata-mata. Dan sebagai mengakhiri forum kita pada petang ini, saya mengucapkan ribuan terima kasih kepada semua panel atas pengusian yang sangat bermanfaat dan kepada para hadirin sekalian kerana sudi mendengar dan turut sama dalam perbincangan ini. Semoga forum ini memberikan manfaat serta kesedaran yang tinggi mengenai kepentingan biodiversiti di negara kita. Saya memohon maaf jika ada tersilap bahasa semasa mengendalikan forum ni, dan yang kurang tu daripada diri saya sendiri dan yang baik tu daripada Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Terima kasih sekali lagi.
Alhamdulillah, thank you Professor Dr. Nazifa as a moderator for this forum session, and thank you to all panelists, Dr. McLaren, Dr. Nik Musa, and also Datuk Muhammad Shah Reza for the sharing session. It's very insightful. Dan seterusnya, to conclude the forum session for this evening, I would like to invite the director of MPTN to give us a brief wrap-up for today's forum. It's okay? Okay. So everyone's still excited and still energetic, right? So we're going to have our majlis penutup after this. And before that, we will be having a wrap. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So we'll be waiting for another 5 minutes for the wrap-up session, and we're waiting for the VIPs to come to officiate the closing ceremony later on. So in the meantime, kita break dulu seketika. Ambil masa, relax dulu kejap. Tapi KitKat tak ada. Okay, relax dulu tapi KitKat tak ada. Okay. So take a deep breath. Kita tunggu kejap lagi, kita akan mula balik. Alright, thank you.